the way through as a medium rare. Now, I know I'm talking about sous vide as a lot of meat stuff, but that's not necessarily the case. You can use sous vide for other things. I did a compound butter once, and I actually added it to potatoes. Like, I sliced it and I added to potatoes that I wanted to do sous vide style. So I added it into the bag there, get everything vacuum sealed, and it just imparts a lot more of that. It's like basting the potatoes in garlic butter. So instead of pan roasting it and everything, and then try and just spoon in butter over top of the potato so it soaks into that, this way is the exact same method, except that it's just kind of cooking in a butter bath, so it just absorbs all that flavor. And you can do stuff like asparagus as well. Now, you do have to be careful though with what food or what vegetables you are trying to cook sous vide style, because a lot of them, like asparagus, will give off gas as it cooks. We don't see that when we're pan frying it because obviously it's in an open pan, we don't see that gas coming off. But when you're enclosing it in a bag that's like this, that's vacuum sealed, as it cooks, it does produce this gas, so the bags will start to float. So that's why you do want to keep an eye on your food so that it gets even cooked throughout. And same thing with pork. Pork actually does give off a little bit of gas as it cooks as well. So it would float in the water bath, as opposed to maybe a steak that would just kind of like stay at the bottom because it's not producing gas. That gas is fine. It's not going to kill you. It's just the natural gas that meats give off as they cook. I mean, you have to be careful though, because if you overcook or if you let the meat cook too long in the sous vide, it could get mushy and it could get really rancid. So it is touch and go. You got to be careful a little bit with it. But like I said, also with sous vide for vegetables, you can do things like corn. Like I did corn on the cob, same sort of thing. I put it in a bag. I added some compound butter and I cooked it. Sorry. And again, this is just as if you're doing butter poached corn. It's just sitting in this butter and it's just getting infused everywhere throughout the entire corn. It's so good. And the corn stays so fresh and vibrant as well, as opposed to when you do corn typical style and you take it and you put it into a pot of boiling water and you blanch it that way and cook it that way. The corn loses some of its nutrients, some of its flavor as it dissipates into the water. So you get like a corn flavored water sort of situation. Whereas when you're doing it with the sous vide, because it's encased in a bag, any moisture that comes out of the corn, it just sits in that bag and it just continues to coat that corn. So the corn doesn't lose those flavors, those nutrients, because it's sitting there stewing in its own juices essentially. And that doesn't escape into the water, so then you don't have to worry about losing any of that. And then you can also get very creative as well with it. So I did this, which is a butternut or a spaghetti squash. And you can actually just like take it, cut it in half, hollow it out inside, and then add vegetables to it. So this is a mixture of mushrooms, bacon, and what else did I do? I don't remember. I think it was just mushrooms and bacon that I added in this one. I sauteed that on the pan, and then you add some cheese to that mix, and you put that in the squash. So you get a nice kind of stuffed squash that you want. And then you cook it in the sous vide, and then it comes out looking like this. So the cheese will melt, your bacon is already pre-cooked, and your mushrooms are already cooked as well. So it becomes like this really tasty dish. And if you're a vegetarian, like maybe meat's not your thing, that's fine. If you're a vegetarian, vegan, you can just take out the bacon and you can put whatever you want. You can do other vegetables, like maybe just straight mushrooms and cheese. Like that would work just fine. Sous vide is great for other vegetables as well. The only thing is that it's at a much, much higher temperature than what you would do other stuff in. So like meats could be cooked at 130 Fahrenheit, 135. vegetables like this is cooked at 185 Fahrenheit because it takes that much more heat, much more temperature to how do I explain it, to like break it down, to get the vegetables to start to like tenderize, I guess is the way to say it. So like this is honestly the mixture that I made. It's bacon, cheese, and mushrooms. It's actually really, really tasty, and this is what I actually ate with pork tenderloin, or not pork tenderloin, pork loin. When I was trying to do in the Wellingtons. So you see here, you got your nice piece of meat here wrapped in pastry. Then you have your veggies with the filling inside. And then again, you can always get creative too with your cooking. When I talked about the pork belly earlier, I went and made mini pork belly burgers. You know, you get a little bun, a little salad, a couple slices of pork belly, boom, you're good to go. And it's super tasty, super moist and juicy. I would definitely recommend if you ever get the chance. Or even for like a little bit of an Asian flair, you know, pork belly bao with egg tarts. And if you want to feel really, really fancy, this is something that I kind of experimented with a little while back. This is steak and eggs on toast. Now, what's really cool about this is the steak, obviously, done sous vide, but those eggs are also done sous vide. Oh yeah, it's super fancy. This was actually a recreation of a breakfast dish from a very fancy restaurant that I saw online. I can't remember the name of the restaurant where I saw it from, but I saw it and I was super impressed with it. And what's nice is they showed the process of how they did this.